Hey everybody, it's Kim, and we're back with another episode of Empower. And today I want to talk about incremental improvement. Um, there was something that I had posted, I don't remember when, last year, and it said something like, "Oh, your life won't get better until you do," and that came back to mind for me because I was kind of getting a little bit discouraged. Um, because there are some things that I expected to happen and wanted to happen that didn't, or some of them didn't, and some of them haven't yet. But I was bothered um, by it in a negative way, by some of the things. And so I took some time and I thought through them and prayed about it and worked through why I was feeling what I was feeling. Um, Came to the realization that sometimes I just have unrealistic expectations or unrealistic time frames for things to happen. Um, but that comes with kind of my personality type. So it's something that I need to work on, being realistic about time frames and that kind of thing, because I'm a person who, once I started, I want it done, and that's it. And so when there are things outside of my control that prevent it from happening, uh, I dislike it a lot. So as I was thinking about that, I was saying to myself, well, that was a step in the right direction. Thinking it through, going through and saying, now, how did I get here? Oh, because you had unrealistic expectations. You didn't manage them well when it came to the timeline. And so I was thinking about it's so important that we improve in increments. We can't just do a complete and total overhaul of however many years of damage and mindset and training and mentality and habits. We can't just do that all in one fell swoop, all together right now, today, become a new person 100%. That isn't how it works. And so I think we set ourselves up for disappointment when we think that it's just gonna, when we hope. Because I think we know that we aren't gonna, we in our head know that that's not how this works. But there's something that my mom says all the time that when something goes from your head to your heart, that's when you have it. Because in your head, you can dream and you can pretend and you can imagine and you can ignore and you can avoid, but in your heart, you know all along. And so it's important that we allow ourselves and we understand that we should improve in increments. Now, the problem with some of us is we think that if we don't do it fast enough or don't do as much at one time, that we will be stagnant, that we will fall off, that we will not do it. And in some cases, some of us will procrastinate and we'll say, oh, well, child, it's taking me too long to get better in this. So this just must be how I'm supposed to be. This is how I am. God made me this way. Mm, some things are inherent to us, yes, but we can change just about anything we want to. My granny always says people gonna do what they want to do. And if you want to bad enough, usually we find a way to get it done. And so it's important to understand that as long as we are continually on purpose, intentionally doing things to improve ourselves, we're doing something. We're making progress. We didn't get to the person that we are at whatever age we are today. Everything that we've experienced, everything that we've been through, everything that we've learned, um, everything that has happened to us, everything that we have done to ourselves, all of those things have combined to make us this person that we see today. And so, in order to reframe that, in order to become who we're trying to be, we have got to allow ourselves and plan incremental improvement. And we have to, in those increments, they have to be measurable. It can't just be some thing that we decide, oh, I'm going to be nicer. How? Are you going to speak to people when you come across them? As opposed to dropping your head because, not because you're rude, but because you're like, I'm nervous. I being around people, meeting people makes me, it's an intimidating situation. I'm an introvert. I don't know what to say. I'm not good at small talk. So incremental improvement in that situation would just simply be okay. Today, whoever I cross paths with, I'm going to smile or I'm going to say hello. It sounds super easy, but for some people it isn't. And we have to be honest about where we are. We cannot make incremental improvement pretending that we are farther along, pretending that we don't struggle with a certain issue. We have to own where we are and be like, okay, so I'm bad at small talk. So what am I going to do? I'm going to come up with things that I actually like to talk about, or come up with things that don't bore me to tears when somebody starts talking about them and present them in conversation. Or I'm going to ask the right questions, not a yes or no question. This is going back to listening to cassette tapes in the car with my dad. My dad um, is an avid sales uh, person. Not That's not his job, but as he would say to me, Nikki, everything is sales. Um, but we used to listen. We didn't have no choice. We were in the car. We were children. We would hear Zig Ziglar and Anthony Robbins and all of these other different people. I can't remember the names. Oh, Les Brown. So many people uh, in the car, and they would be talking about open-ended questions and closed-ended questions. And how, if you're trying to engage with a person, you don't ask a closed-ended question, which is the question that can be answered with a yes or no. You want something that has to be elaborated on. So, not, do you like ice cream? Yes, no. Because some people will just answer the question that they're asked, as opposed to an open-ended question. If I were to say to you, if I were to offer you a piece of apple pie, um, what would be your choice of ice cream to make it a la mode or whatever? Something that requires the person to think or to say something other than a one word answer. Um, so you could commit to, okay, this is going to be the question that I ask, um, so that I don't get a, a one word response. And I'm going to practice this and I'm going to get better at small talk. It doesn't mean you become, you know, you're ready for a TED talk next week just because now you have started um, thinking of ways to engage with people. But it's a step. And if you've done it once, if you get up and you're like, okay, today's the day I'm going to start, and then you start today and you remember to do it once, that's an incremental improvement. It's measurable. You did it once. It probably freaked you out and made you feel uncomfortable, but you did it. So many times we're like, oh, I only did it once. See, no good at it. Once is more than the day before when you didn't do it at all. So we have to set set expectations for ourselves that are realistic and that are measurable so that we can tell, okay, I'm improving here. Because when it's just a broad thing, but I just need to be nicer to people, what does that mean? Sometimes being nicer to people can mean you not talking to anyone because you're just angry at the moment. So that isn't And sometimes we do that just so that we can be like, see, I didn't even know where to start, so I didn't even start. If we're honest, sometimes we'll set an immeasurable goal just so that we can say, see, well, what's the point of even having a goal? What's the point of even trying? What's the point of even thinking it through and saying it? Because I can't do it. We have to be honest about how we are and why we choose what we choose. So it's something that I am really still working on, not the being nice to people part, but well, sometimes. Let me no. But the incremental improvement, because I want to get it right the first time and I don't want to have to struggle with it over and over again because that feels like repeated failure to me. So I am working right now on managing how I view improvement. And I am saying, okay, if I do anything, when I do anything that gets me closer to my end goal, if I'm writing a book and my goal, unrealistically, is to write a chapter a day or something like that, um, if I write 2 sentences, that's 2 more sentences than I had yesterday. So sometimes we're like, no, if I don't have 30 minutes to dedicate, if I don't have an hour to dedicate, why would I do 5 minutes? Because those 5 minutes add up. And if I do 5 minutes for 5 days, that's almost 30 minutes, right? So rather than not doing it at all because I can't do it the way I want to, increments, increments, small bits, small bites. That's how we eat our food. You don't just put a whole burger in your mouth. You take a bite, you chew it, you swallow it, go on to the next bite. So it's the same concept when we're trying to improve ourselves, when we're doing our best, when we're taking inventory of what needs to be better, how we can improve ourselves. Incremental improvement. It's a tough one for me, y'all. I'm just going to be honest. But it isn't impossible. It just is going to take serious intentionality on my part. Those of you who know me well know that this is this is a challenge for me. But I also like a challenge, so I will get better at it. I will get better at it. Um, I will not say when, incremental, but I will because I am working on it. And so that's all I have for y'all today. I just wanted to encourage you to plan in some time to master it. Um, Last thing before I go, I was talking to the girls in the youth group from church, and I was telling them that one of their assignments was to come up with one goal that they could accomplish by New Year's Eve this year, and for them to think through the process, a realistic goal, um, write down the steps of what it would take to get there, but for each step, put in a distraction. Like imagine something that could come to get them off their game. And by doing that, that is helping them plan in the process of, okay, I may have to rework this. I may have to come at it a different way. And so that's kind of the same thing that I'm telling me and you today, to give yourself a little bit more grace, a little bit more time, a little bit more space to learn how to get it together. And it'll happen piece by piece, increment by increment, moment by moment. So that's all I have for you today. One way you can improve in increments of roughly 15 minutes is by watching this video on Facebook. going over to YouTube and searching Empower, Empowher, subscribing to my channel, clicking the notification bell so you know when I upload new videos. Going on over to Instagram and following Empower at Empowher 540. Those are ways that you can improve in increments. And until then, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.